Glad that all of the above is happening in real time. How are you?
Thank you. I feel the same way. As I was walking in, I was thinking I talked to you definitely more than some of my family members, in the sweetest way, just
Yeah.
because you have been so wonderful and you've seen me through a lot. And it's been wonderful to see all of this happen for you.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I'm in a really good place and I'm
Yeah.
excited about what's happening.
We're going to talk about that. And I just want to get this out of the way because it deserves to be honored and acknowledged. Congratulations on finding, happiness with someone in your life you get to share
you.
experiences with. And I'm sure that it was a wonderful occasion, but doesn't it just get better in the days that follow and the months and the years that will follow?
I definitely can agree to that.
Yeah.
It has been such a dream so far, and I know it'll come with, ebbs and flows, but it's the most beautiful person that I could do that with.
Yeah. No, congratulations to both of you.
Yeah.
I feel like when we first started speaking, you'd lived so much life already. And so it was actually pretty natural, I think, for the two of us who are curious about what goes on behind the music and is going on in the spirit of the human being to fall into a deeper place pretty quick. That being said, you have honored that work with increasing dedication in the years that have followed. I think about the last 10 years even, and all the changes that went on when you put out Revival and the anniversary that's upon you, and how much you've done for others, not just for yourself in that time. I guess my question, Selena, is that when anniversaries come back around, do you allow yourself the grace to be able to acknowledge how far you've traveled?
Definitely. It doesn't mean that it's easy to, because sometimes you can get stuck in a place, and I'm just finally happy to say that I don't feel stuck. It feels so beautiful and it feels wonderful, and I think that's what I want to be now, is everything and more of what I've been given in the past 3 years have been such a blessing. So.
Does that change the way that you go about doing your work around Rare Impact Fund, helping others, nonprofit organizations to increase awareness around mental health, when you're able to take a step back and have done the work, have better tools to help yourself? Does it alter the way that you approach the work for others than it did when you were in it, learning and contributing at the same time?
I think when you have experienced something that another person has maybe felt in a different way, there's naturally this connection that you're able to connect with someone on a level of maybe it's trauma or, codependency or whatever it feels like. You can walk through that with someone, but it's never good to lean on someone. So it's always
It's rare to
important.
watch a superstar relax into her own softness. Yet on a quiet afternoon in Los Angeles, during a deeply personal sit-down with Zane Lowe, that's exactly what Selena Gomez did. No theatrics. No carefully manufactured mystique. Just honesty, bare, warm, and almost disarming in its simplicity. She didn't need to elevate the moment rose on its own. Zane had asked a gentle question, something about how life had shifted recently. Selena paused, not for dramatic effect, but the way someone does when they want to choose words that don't just sound true but feel true. And then, almost shyly, she smiled. "Benny," she began, the syllables soft as a secret. "He's just sweet. He's been incredibly sweet. Sweet. It's a small word in a world that worships grand gestures and cinematic declarations of love. But for Selena, sweetness is not trivial. It is the thing she once didn't know she needed, the quiet antidote to years lived under fluorescent scrutiny and emotional noise. Sweetness meant steadiness. Presence. Kindness without an agenda. And the way she talked about him, carefully, lovingly, as though holding something precious, made the whole room slow down. Selena wasn't trying to sell perfect love. She wasn't even trying to convince anyone of anything. She was simply sharing, openly, a part of her life she had protected for a very long time. A part she wasn't always sure she'd find. "Benny never tries to make me feel like I have to be anything other than myself," she continued. And that's everything. There was something about the way she said it, like she was describing a person who held out his hand without needing applause. And maybe that's why the conversation began to glow. Because in a world of curated romance, curated emotions, curated everything, Selena's love story sounded refreshingly human. She didn't talk about passion like fire, she talked about warmth like a home. And then came a line that nearly reshaped the air. "He's been treating me with so much gentle consistency," she said, "that it started teaching me how to be kinder to myself." It wasn't the usual celebrity interview revelation. It was better. It was real. You could feel the subtle ache of everything she'd lived through, the battles, the comebacks, the heartbreaks that played out as public entertainment. But you could also feel the grounded joy of a woman who had finally found someone who didn't want the spotlight, only her smile. Selena laughed as she recounted little things Benny did, making her tea when she was overwhelmed, insisting she take breaks when she forgot she was allowed to, sending her ridiculous text messages designed purely to make her laugh in the middle of chaotic days. These weren't romantic cliches, they were the kind of tiny gestures that accumulate quietly, shaping a love that doesn't need to announce itself to feel enormous. Zane listened, leaned in, then asked the question he knew listeners were wondering: what makes this love different? Selena didn't hesitate this time. "He sees the real me," she said. "Not the version the world thinks it knows. Not the headlines. Not the expectations. Just me. And he treats that version with care." Her voice softened, but it didn't waver. She spoke with a confidence, a gentle, healed confidence, that felt new. Hard-earned. Honest. The kind that grows only after someone has finally stopped trying to outrun themselves. The interview drifted into other topics: music, self-discovery, gratitude, but there was a quiet glow that lingered every time she spoke. Something settled. Something peaceful. Selena wasn't talking about a fairy tale. She was talking about foundation. Halfway through, Zane commented that she looked the happiest he'd seen her in years. Selena smiled, a little surprised, a little emotional. "I am," she admitted. "Not because life is perfect. But because I'm surrounded by people who don't need perfection from me." It was a sentence that rippled through the conversation like a heartbeat. And maybe that's why the interview became instantly unforgettable, because it wasn't about fame or projects or the polished surface of celebrity life. It was about tenderness. About the kind of love that arrives quietly but stays loudly. About a woman learning to trust that soft love is still love, maybe the truest kind. As the conversation wound down, Selena thanked Zane with genuine warmth. She seemed lighter than when she'd entered the room, as if saying these things out loud had stitched something together inside her. The world has always been fascinated by Selena Gomez, the artist, the actress, the businesswoman, the survivor, the symbol. But on this day, during this interview, the world met Selena, the human being, hopeful, reflective, and glowing in a way that didn't need stage lights. Before she left, Zane asked if she wanted to add anything. Selena thought for a moment, then said, "I'm just really grateful. Life finally feels like it's being kind back to me." And with that, she stood, smiled, and walked out, a woman in love with her life, not because of a fantasy, but because of a sweetness that was real, steady, and hers.